Hey, I'm Saving Content's own Ed Acosta, and welcome to dotEXE, a saving content podcast. It's episode 12, and joining me in the void of vocals is Eric Acosta.
The void of vocals. Well, I guess if a void wouldn't have any vocals, there'd be no noise in a void, right?
Well,
so
it's a void of vocals, so it's nothing but vocal.
So then it's just constant noise?
Yes. That's what we are. Welcome to Constant Noise.
ConstantNoise.com.
It's full of dot noise.
Yeah. Speaking of that, new Homestar Runner, Strong Bad email?
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, that was what, 2 weeks ago at this point?
That was 2 weeks ago, yeah, but still, like, come on.
April 1st, they released a brand new Strong Bad email. After what, 4 years, I think was the one before that. And before that one, it was another like 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years, yep.
That's crazy.
It was great because you had mentioned it to me and I'm like, what? So it went on. And then Keegan, my oldest, was watching it and he's like, he was laughing his butt off. He was loving it. So
it was a good one. It's like a episode on parents or parenting.
Yeah, parenting, yeah. It was parenting. They had to take care of a, what was it?
Coach
a bag of pudding.
Take a bag of pudding. It's a bad Coach Z, but
yeah, it was a good one though. There was, me and Des, we showed Keegan the Gabbucktas, Dooms, all that stuff, and the Homestar Runner, the intro. Welcome to HomestarRunner.com.
It's .com. Line.
Welcome to something.com. But yeah, he liked it. I think he's actually probably gonna he might actually start looking back at some of that older stuff.
All right, cool. I mean, some of that stuff holds up pretty well, I think. Yeah,
especially for the type of comedy that is currently in online. I mean, it actually has kind of swung back around.
He is at that age where we fell into that that void of comedy. So I think it will fit his current stage of humor.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. It works with what he's into right now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
speaking of being into stuff, what have you been into?
The same stuff.
Sounds about right.
I haven't played a whole bunch of new stuff. I'm in Arceus completing the Pokedex. I actually looked in to see how many 100% I've done, and I'm at 13 right now. So
13 out of 150.
Is it 150? I thought it was more.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about red and blue there.
No, not fire red.
I don't know how many. Is it like over 250, 300
I think it's like
in Arceus?
260 something.
Because not all of them are in there.
No. I think it's like 260 something. I don't know. It's a lot. And this is definitely going to be another one of those that's going to take me a long time to do.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've been still doing some Snow Runner as always. Found that I really, really, really hate flipping over.
Well, I think it wouldn't be so bad if you could still use the winch.
Right. And so you can do that there's a battery operated winch on the Scout, but only the Scout.
And
so
it's
any
not
of the bigger
strong.
trucks. Right. It's not strong. So that's why they use it for the Scout, because it can pull the Scout up, but that's about it. But yeah, I was delivering a friggin' drilling material, which that in itself was irritating me because it needed 4 slots in your bed, and the trucks that I had, like you can get the longer railed bed, but that's only 3 slots.
Okay.
So I haven't found anything that you can just stick on the bed of the truck, even if it's long enough, to be 4 slots. So I've got this one Western Star that can fit it, but it kind of topples a lot.
Maybe they did that on purpose so you would have to
force you to use
the wrong equipment.
Yeah, I almost bet. I think I flipped that thing. So the parts are in a longer C crate.
Uh-huh.
Because it's a 4-slot C crate, and I think I flipped it 3 times.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, one time was legitimate. Like, I screwed up and I took a turn too sharp, at too fast, and I went into mud and then just kind of went blop, flipped over.
Uh-huh.
I was like, well, that was a dumb me. The other 2 times I was turning, I was doing fine, and then the mud that was like solid-ish with the front wheels, when my back wheels got to it, some reason decided that it didn't want to be solid anymore, and it just sank. So my butt end sank on both times. Butt end sank, and then I flipped. I was like, "What? I just drove that. Like, that didn't sink. There was no mud there." So yeah, had to. Because what I also do is, I take the one truck out, right, and then if I flip, then I call out my other truck. I don't just leave trucks in the world.
Right. Well, unless they're a monument on a mountain, right?
Right, exactly. Unless they have some sort of story as to why they are forever up there. Mounted log trailer. Blessed ye. But so because of that, I have to go back to the garage and pull out the truck. Well, this mission was in one of those the islands that doesn't have a garage.
Oh, yuck.
Yeah, so I had to drive from the garage to the island. So all the way through the map to get to the exit to the island, to then go from the entrance of that island to where the truck is, to then lift it and ride it. And then get the bigger crane, because the small yellow crane won't pick up the 4. Well, it can if you finagle it, but in the mud it won't. It just tips your other truck over, so that crane is not strong enough. So then you have to get the bigger train, the heavy duty crane, to lift that C crate up.
Uh-huh.
So I found that out after I drove all the way over there with the yellow crane, that it wasn't going to do that. So then I had to send that back to the garage and then drive another truck with the heavy crane all the way over there. So that was my snow runner day today. It was a lot of flipping over and back up and putting crates back on the truck.
My goodness.
But because of that, I got really annoyed at the fact that there's no mini map.
Yeah, you would think.
Well,
at least in-game narrative, there's a GPS, right?
Right, exactly. At minimum, you can have a GPS. And so I went online. I'm like, this got to be a mod. Someone's got to have made a mod. No, I have not found. And if anybody out there knows of a SnowRunner minimap mod, I am more than willing to look at it. But I could not find one. All I could find was people on Reddit and posts saying, if you want a minimap, then this is not the game for you, because that takes away the fun of the game.
No,
and to all of you that say that, I say poo-poo on you, because I can make a, destination map of my own. I can make my own little GPS marker. That's fine. I'm not asking for that. I'm not asking for a GTA, put a marker down and it makes my path for me. Right. I'm just asking for a mini map. That would be nice. But I'm asking for a little mini map that'll show me my immediate location and what's branching. Because
so if you go to the map, it's a live map.
Right.
So you can see the other person drive around. So why not incorporate that into a little tiny window for your car?
Right. Well, and then a lot of apparently people online are saying if they did that, you would be looking down the same excuse as to why people hate minimaps in other games. You're not looking at the environment; and it's taking you out of the game.
Then make a waypoint on the screen.
Yeah. Well, and I'm like, it's not having a mini map would leave me in the game more often, because right now, as it is, me having to go to the big map, I'm going to go to the big map every time I get to an intersection, taking me out of the game and out of the environment to look at a map, look at a HUD to see where I need to go, and then I'm going back into it. So I'm more often out of that environment, as they would say, looking at a HUD than I am in it. So having a mini map would keep me in it.
Right. It just makes their argument better when you have a mini map.
Right. So, yeah, that was my irritation today with the Snow Runner.
Right.
I started after your glowing review of Lego Star Wars.
Yes.
I did. So what I did end up doing was I ended up purchasing GT7 through GameFly for like $50. Not $70. It was like $53, $54.
A more reasonable price.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, I got an email from GameFly today that they've updated their whatever membership stuff, and now you can stack coupons that they send out
$20.
Up to $20.
Yes. That's exactly what we've been saying for the past year. Like $5 is not going to get me to buy something.
Right.
$20 will definitely get me to buy something.
Right. Now, granted, you have to wait a whole year because they do it every 3 months, but
yeah. But also, did you see in that email also that every 6 months, I think, you get a 25% off of a keep, like a keep voucher?
Yeah. So like if you have a game out, 25% off of keeping it.
Yep. Which I end up
it's not bad.
Tending to do more often than not.
Yeah, because if you like the game, why not just keep it? You have it.
Right. Well, like, the few times that I've kept games, I've done the game, whatever it's called, where you get the new game.
The game lock?
Game lock, yeah. You get the new game when it comes out, or around when it comes out. So I'll get it, rent it, and be like, oh, I like it. And then instead of paying the $60 for it, it's used now. So I'll pay like $54. So I'm like, I'm already
technically first person to have it.
Exactly. I'm the first person to have it. I'm the only person to have owned it. So technically, it's still new, but because I owned it and now it is used, when it goes back to them, it's going to be used. So, but that's what I've been doing with most of the new games, is getting that, and I'm getting a $5 off or whatever. But that the 25% off will definitely be worth it. So good on you, GameFly. That's the way to do it.
Yes. Good on you.
That'll keep me paying.
But you were saying about Lego Star Wars. Let's hear your thoughts on this wonderful game.
Yes. I love it. I like it. I really do. I think it's a tight game. It's it's one of those where I got into it. I hadn't played a Lego Star Wars, a Lego game in a while. The last one I played was the Marvel Superheroes 2,
which in itself is a good game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I never disliked any of the Lego games. It just kind of grew. I don't know if I grew out of them, but they tended to be too simple, or I just didn't.
That's always been their problem. They're simple enough that if you're not in the right mindset, you can just get really bored of them easily, and then put them away and don't come back to them for a very long time, if ever.
Right. Well, so like I said, I came back to it, and it literally was like slipping into an old pair of pants. Like, it's like, I remember this. This feels good, but it's not like the same thing. Like you said, it's not the same game, but it feels familiar. Yeah,
it's different, but the same. It's a fresh take on the Lego formula.
Right. It's comfortable. Right?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's very comfortable. It's very intuitive. Like, I knew I didn't really have to read what I needed to do, even with the new stuff, like the weapons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of felt like, okay, I knew what I needed to do there. I knew that there was something that I needed to hold, and it was the circle button. Like, It was very intuitive. A lot of the stuff there was very intuitive.
Right.
Now, watching our dad play, that was funny because it wasn't nearly as intuitive for him.
Well, yes.
But he also doesn't play a whole lot of video games.
Right.
Yeah. He's Animal Crossing and Breath of the Wild. So.
Yeah. And the occasional other, game here and there he's tried.
Well, and I mean, you have all these people that dislike Knack. He loved Knack. He liked playing Knack.
I don't think people really dislike Knack. I think they just like to jump on Knack because, it's kind of like the meme joke within the gaming community. Knack itself is, a good, kind of like
solid
Lego
game.
Yeah, it's kind of like Lego in that it's simple enough, but it's fine. There's nothing to really write home about it.
Right. It does the job that it set out to do, but not like in an extravagant way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's inoffensive.
There you go. I mean, granted, some of those memes online seem like they've taken very much offense to it, but
and some of those are a little too harsh, but some of them are, appropriately playful.
Right.
Like when they had when the sequel was coming out, everybody's like, "Oh, it's going to be Knack's back."
Right.
Which they should have done that whole advertising campaign around that.
Certainly.
That would have been good on them. They probably would have sold a little more because they would have been like in the know,
I
like,
would
hey,
have,
we got you guys. We get it.
I would have, and this is just me being a dork, I would have see if could license Backstreet's Back and put Knack Street's Back.
I mean, they could have just even Knack is back. All right.
Right.
But that's, yeah.
It's, past that point.
Hey, they could make a Knack 3.
Knack 3.
On the PS5, Knack 3?
That actually might look pretty cool. They'd have to do a little work to it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, this is the Knack game, it wasn't terrible. It was solid.
Yeah, they're not, again, they're inoffensive. They're games.
Right. But speaking of offensive or inoffensive, watching a streamer play a game, and I'm like, man, I think Genevieve would like this game. It's called, I believe it's Strange Horticulture on Steam, like $15.
I'm vaguely familiar with this.
So this game, from what I was watching and watching Genevieve play, or watching the streamer play, you own a plant shop in a weird town. I forget the name of the town now. And your whole thing is like, you're trying to solve a mystery, kind of like a murder mystery-esque kind of thing, but it wasn't really a murder. You're just trying to figure out what this town is all about, and there's a lot of like just secrets about it. So like, you go through the day, you go to a map, you click on a section in the map, and you collect the plant, right? Or you can possibly find a plant. Then when you get that plant, you get it, put it in your greenhouse, but there's no name for it. You don't know what it is. You have to look into your horticulture book and look at, the names of these plants, and they give you like descriptions, either a picture or like a small picture or like some verbiage to tell you about the plant. And you kind of have to like index it and go, okay, well, this plant seems to have a smell when you look at it. You can like inspect it. It'll say like it puts off a distinctly sweet smell and has, a prickly vine or something. And then in the book, it won't directly say that exact line, but it may say like a plant that puts off a sweet smell and has dangerous vines. Like, so like it's not exactly the same wording, but it is close enough that you can link them together. So then you can like tag it with the name, or someone will come into your shop asking for a specific plant, and they'll ask by name or by what it does or whatever. And you have to then look in your book and say, okay, they want this. It does this. It looks like this, whatever. Do I have that plant? And in the stream, there was not a time when they didn't. So I wondered if maybe that customer doesn't come in until you have that plant.
Maybe
in your inventory, but I like I said, the person playing it I never saw a point where she did not have the plant to give. So it could have been coincidence, or it could be that that's just the way that it works. That that customer will not come in and asking for that plant unless you currently have it.
But like sense. Why right. If you don't have it, and then
because it didn't look like there was like a turn away button. You know what I mean? Like say sorry, we don't have it. But to go into the map, you have to you gain as you do other stuff or wait and just kind of mess around in your book. You have a timer kind of thing that fills up a bar, and then once that bar or that circle fills up, you can then go to the map, and this is where you can start searching for more plants or searching for the riddles that you're given on these cards at the beginning of every day or something like that. To learn more about the in-game town and world. So it's kind of it reminded me of a Papers, Please game style. But it was less detail oriented to the player or to the NPC and more detail oriented to the plants. And it's doesn't seem timed. It doesn't seem like there's so far. It doesn't seem like there's any you've got to press these anything in a certain order or anything like that. So it's really all just about a mental skill and processing data, which works very well for Genevieve because she's not a big fan of the having quickly press or having to do platforming and stuff like that.
Right.
So she watched it, and I showed her that, and she seemed to be interested. So I think she booted it up, but she didn't have a whole lot of time to play because she had as you know, a dance competition over this weekend, and
right,
didn't have a whole lot of time to play. Saturday was call time was 7:30. We left there at 10, I think, at night.
Okay,
so 7:30 in the morning to 10 at night. So we were at the competition that whole time.
That's a long time.
That is a long day. And I got to build the boat there, so that was fun. But it was a thing. But I enjoy it. I'm there for her. And Keegan actually, he dances too, so there for them. They enjoy it. But enough about my little week and weekend. I know that you have at least one thing that I'm excited to hear about.
So I haven't done much since we last met. I played more GTA, and that was we found us a fourth member for our little posse, and just
another cousin.
Another cousin. Hey, our cousins, they blood.
Hey, our cousins are cool. I'm just saying,
cool.
our cousins play games with us, even though we're old geezers.
Right. I mean, in all technicality, we're like the old farts. So, but that's been fun, getting to be how our one cousin was with us, introducing us to all this stuff. Now we're introducing our other cousin. We're introducing her to some more stuff. Even though she's played before, but on a different platform,
so. Right? And I don't think she played recently, more recent stuff. So that's
she was in the same boat that I was, in that I played way back when the game first came out. Although it sounds like she had played longer than I had. I gave it a couple weeks, and I was like, you know what, this game is broken. I'm done.
I'm done with
after
game.
A few years, they fixed it.
Right. Rockstar's super up on that kind of stuff, right?
Right. All the moderation that they do on the PC, keeping everybody protected from modders and griefers.
Mm-hmm. And how awesome that the one mission works for us so swimmingly.
I know.
Every time we try to start it, we get kicked out of it.
I don't know what is up with that one specific mission. We should probably try, because that's yours, right?
Yeah, that's mine.
We should probably try somebody else's and see if maybe that will kind of fix it.
Well, I think because you or one cousin, both of you guys need to do the Fleeco mission, whatever, right? I know she does.
Probably.
The Fleeca.
Well, we have enough people we can do it now.
Well, the Fleeca's a 2-1.
Well, then I've already done that one. I did that one with you.
Oh, right. Okay, so then is that... Okay, so then we could do yours. If you want to try on hers, she'd need to do the Fleeca.
Yeah, that's just one of us hopping in with her to finish that up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just more old GTA stuff. I bought an auto shop which lets you customize cars, then sell them to the people who wanted to customize them, and it has these 3 what look like almost heist-like missions that I haven't done yet, but they obviously don't pay out as much as a heist, but more than some of the other stuff in the game. So I don't know if those are actually going to be beneficial or not, depending on how long they take.
Right.
But maybe
that's the key. What's the pay to the time ratio there?
Right.
Because that's the biggest issue with the other jobs, like the motorcycle club stuff and the bunker. It's a time issue. You don't get paid a whole lot, but you're driving around for 15 minutes. Sometimes.
Now you can alleviate some of that by buying some of those properties closer to the city, but you still, you got to go out, pick it up, drive it, go back, pick up more, drive it, depending on how big your cell is.
Right.
So,
yeah, those were definitely the forcing. They really wanted you to play with a group of people.
Yeah.
To get those done. And those missions I feel bad asking people to help me with those missions because
they don't pay well.
Yeah, they're so minimal. They don't pay well. They're boring. And on top of it, you're the only one that gets the money.
Yeah. So it's like
your crew person doesn't.
They get money for being in your crew after a while, but they don't get a share of the take, which seems ridiculous. Why not give the host, since they are the MC of the club or the CEO, why not give them the power to divvy it up?
So I read online you can, but every time I try, it's a grayed out box for me. I don't know why. But there is a thing that says you can cash give or something like that. And you can give people in your crew at the time money from your account. But it never works.
I just wonder if they've removed that feature because they don't want people getting free money.
That's a possibility too.
So, well, other than that, I haven't really done much in the way of games. I did become a culinary master on my own.
wait, would it be a culinary if it's what you're gonna say it is? Would it be culinary or would it be like a chocolatier or not a chocolatier?
A chocolatier would be a person who makes chocolate.
Yeah, but so I'm gonna spoil it a little bit, but yours is ice cream, right? So
yeah, it's ice cream. I don't think
you wouldn't be.
I still think that's a culinary.
Would it be? I say when I hear culinary, I think a dish, like a food, like main meal. I don't think of desserts as a culinary thing. I guess I guess I'm thinking pastry, like a pastry chef is what I'm thinking. Because
well,
technically,
maybe because it does include some sort of baking. This particular ice cream. I just keep thinking back to the William Dafoe meme where he goes like, I'm kind of a scientist myself. Like I'm kind of a baker myself. But I decided after seeing some video where a guy was talking about making Old Bay ice cream, like what? That sounds delicious. So I went out and decided I'm going to make one of those simple 3-ingredient ice creams where it's just sugar, it is heavy cream, and evaporated milk. That's it. And you put it in a double boiler method, but the second bowl has ice. You put some salt in there to lower the freezing point, and then you put the bowl with the ingredients on top, and you just take a mixer and you keep going until, it can't hold any more air. And you stop, put it in the freezer for, I think it was about an hour, take it back out, put the mixer to it again to deflate it and get it going, start building up some ice crystals in there. And once it can't get any looser, add your ingredients, fold it in, pop it in the freezer overnight, and you've got ice cream.
Right. Oh, a form of ice cream, yeah.
What I did is I made the base, mixed it, added about 4 tablespoons of Old Bay. Because I went tablespoon at a time before I was like, this is good. 1 tablespoon, you kind of tasted it. 2 tablespoons, it's getting there. 3 tablespoons, like, ooh, this is good.
It's just
but I'm going to be
quite
adventurous. And I put another tablespoon in there. And I was like, yeah, I'm golden. This is great. Because it's a little sharp,
right.
But I hadn't put in the second ingredient, and that was cornbread.
Right, which would pull some of that Old Bay flavor away. Yeah.
So I figured, well, what's good with Old Bay? You usually have Old Bay with crabs and shrimp, seafood. Well, what other than putting shrimp or crab in your ice cream, which I think I'm going to try next time, what else can you put in there? Well, you tend to have cornbread with seafood boils.
Right.
Or hush puppies, which is
I was going to say the next thing with hush puppies,
basically cornbread,
which people like. I dislike hush puppies.
Yeah, come on.
I'll go with cornbread over hush puppies.
So I'm like, I can make cornbread. I got cornmeal, so I made some homemade cornbread. I did a honey cornbread just to give it a little extra sweetness for the ice cream, and just made a flat batch. Put it in a big, wide baking sheet, basically, so that it can thin out. And when I cut it, it is smaller chunks, so it would hopefully hold a little better in the ice cream rather than big cakey pieces. It still kind of broke up a little bit and still had cakey pieces, but there are noticeable chunks, which is nice.
Right.
A nice little texture thing with the tongue. So put it in there, mixed it all up, put it in the freezer, popped it out, had a taste, and it is so good. It is so very good. I recommend if you like Old Bay or you do enjoy that salty sweet combo, this is good. If I can find a way to either transport what I've got or just make a batch the next time I'm up,
we just make
you're
it.
getting some.
We'll make it. I think Genevieve would love to try it.
Yeah,
along with me too. But
and I think what we'll do is we'll make a batch, split it in half, and do one the way I made it before, and the second one we'll add in chunks of shrimp.
Yeah.
And see how that, because shrimp is good cold. When you have shrimp cocktail, it's cold.
Right. The only thing that I had reservations were is like shrimp and between the two, shrimp and crab. I feel crab has less of a flavor, of a sharp flavor or a very noticeable flavor than shrimp. I feel shrimp has a more noticeable flavor, so that would be like jumping into a heavier. We're now going with a whole crab bake kind of thing.
So I mean, yeah, crab would be good in there. Shrimp is cheaper.
Right. Well, that's it. And there's the other thing. Shrimp has more flavor, but it's cheaper.
But if we want to make a nice bougie Maryland style ice cream, then we'll do crab, cornbread, and Old Bay.
Yeah. Delicious.
So other than my ice cream adventures. That's about all I did this week. Although I did watch the 3rd episode of the Halo TV series in our segment of Unfortunately We Watch Halo.
Yeah. I'm actually trying. I'm pretty sure I did watch it, and I'm trying to remember what it was about.
Well, I don't think you're missing much. This episode made me so upset. So upset.
Oh, wait, yeah, okay. So we're going to do spoilers as we have done before.
Yes.
Right. So
if you don't want to hear spoilers, then I'll make note of time and it'll be in the description.
Right.
Whatever.
But yeah, this is the one where they actually have a Cortana.
Yes.
Come out,
Cortana
right?
actually becomes a thing. And the point leading up to it is like, okay, I guess this is fine. And then they stick a needle in her eye. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. So that's problem number 1. So they basically take the neural patterns of the clone's brain out. It is now AI in the computer. And then they decide to drill into the back of John's brain and implant it into his cortex. That is not how that should have been. AI on a little chip, and that goes in his helmet. It bugs me. Because they've basically planned it so that now you have oh shoot, I'm drawing a blank on his name, Pablo, the actor's name, out of the suit for majority of the time, or they can do it majority of the time because Cortana is now available to just pop in whenever she wants, even when he's not in his armor. Now, like I mentioned, this made me so mad. This episode was pretty much my tipping point, and I think if this week's episode doesn't change something for the better or get better, overall, I think I'm done. Yeah, I will say though,
I think that the eye part is what that's where I went. I think I'm done.
Yeah, it's unnecessary. They didn't need to show it. But I will say, Jen Taylor as Cortana, and if you're not familiar, Jen Taylor is actually the voice of Cortana in the games, was amazing. And I think that is quite literally the best part of this show so far. I wish and hope that by this show showing that it can be done well, that more studios, when they have adaptations into other forms of media, whether it's TV, movie, or like cartoon or something, they get the voice actor from the game to do their part, because holy crap, she does it very well. And even though she may not look exactly like Cortana in the game, you're already kind of breaking that disbelief because it's live action and you're going to have to hire actors who are relatively close or not close at all. And the mannerisms are there. Obviously, the voice and her intonation and everything is spot on. It's just perfect. It's like, that is Cortana. I would have liked her. I would have liked them to tone down the skin tone to make it more blue or, purple in the early games. But I think it fits okay. In this particular instance, I think I'm not okay with them making her human sized, but it's not a big. It's more of a bummer than anything else. It's not really oh my gosh, this is terrible, please stop. Like, I would much rather see him hold out his hand or have her appear on a little computer console, but that's fine. It's okay to have her the same size as everybody else. The thing that really was nearing the final straw for me in this episode was Chief's chemistry with Cortana. Now, I can understand that this is a whole point of, this episode and I guess the early season here is that he doesn't want an AI in his head. He can do things on his own. Why does he have to listen to this thing? They're not partners. But that's not, it's really bad. It's almost really cringy because she's really trying and he's not. And it's either really well written or really well acted or just really poorly written. It's one of those things, like it's either really well done that it makes me feel bad or it's really not well done that I'm feeling bad. It's just I can't remember for the life of me in the early fiction whether or not Chief had this sort of pushback on having AI in his suit. But by the time you got into the first game, they're already like a team. So, you're used to seeing them work together. So having this whole, I don't need you aspect and then slowly learning to accept one another is really, really off-putting.
Yeah, I don't like how negative to each other to her it is. Like you said, I understand the reasoning for the story. He doesn't want something in his head, but it's too much. But I think that's because they put her in his head.
Well, yeah, and it's just, I don't know. This whole series, I get it is a quote-unquote silver timeline, and it's a separate universe that it's in, but it's not good.
Yeah, it started off as like, hey, this is a okay story and an okay TV show, but not a Halo show. And it has now gone to the, okay, you're hitting tropes. You're hitting a lot of like, I know where this is going now. It's a little too obvious.
And what makes it just feel even worse is that everything around the story works. So like the casting, I think, is okay. The some better than others. The actual production is kind of awesome. Costuming and just character design is dang near perfect. So to wrap this all around, this brings us to our topic this week, which is the worst video game adaptations in media. If you listened last week, we went through the best ones.
Well, what we thought
this week
best.
We'll list some of the worst ones, some of the bad ones. So I guess we'll start with some movies here. I can think of one right off the top of my head. I would say that would be the Super Mario Brothers movie. Is not great.
Yeah.
And that one has been talked about to death. So we probably don't need to go into too much discussion on it. But boy, it was bad.
Yeah. It was not good. Like, nothing about it was redeeming, realistically. I mean, aside from the two, like, Mario and Luigi, Leguizamo and what's his name? They did okay as the characters. I think they kind of fit they worked as brothers, but
yeah, I think they did okay as the characters.
But the movie itself,
yeah, the story was way off. It felt like it wanted to be one thing, but use the characters from another. And just the costuming was poor. Yeah. Koopas were little, or Goombas. I forget which ones they were. I think they were Goombas. Were just little tiny head things in giant suits. It's
right.
Who decided that was good? And then was the Goombas? So there was also this big fungus thing.
Yeah, well, like I forgot all about that thing.
That might have been Goombas. I don't know. I don't remember. But like they turned the king, president, whatever it was from that underground area into this, and they turned other people's into this like weird fibrous mushroom thing. It's like, what? So bad.
It was
so bad.
Horrible. It's one of those things where I just wonder, like, who saw that in a screening and went, yes.
Right. I think, honestly, what probably happened was they got through on the development, which in itself, there's, again, everything's been talked to death about this. But, the development was also a hassle. But I'm sure what ended up happening was they made it, they watched it, and they're like, oh, this is not good, but we spent all this money on it. We have to do something because now we have all these marketing deals.
Right.
Just put it out.
We'll deal with the backlash.
Right. No, I mean, Super Mario Brothers movie, bad. In that same vein, Street Fighter was not good. I don't think it was any good. It was supposed to be a G.I. Joe movie.
Right.
And then they decided, no.
So I didn't like the movie was bad, but to me, it was that stupid, campy bad. That was just, it was dumb and stupid and bad, but it was funny to watch.
See, I don't agree. Like,
no, I thought
Mortal
it was hilarious.
Whereas Mortal Kombat was very much that, campiness factor to it. Street Fighter had this, to me, it felt like they tried, but it wasn't good. Like, they gave it a shot, and it was all serious, with the occasional silly joke here and there. But it just, nothing connected. Like, the characters I didn't feel were cast well, except for, a Bison was really well done. But it just, I don't think that one hit as well as Mortal Kombat. But probably better than Annihilation.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation was very bad, but it had more characters?
Yeah. I mean, but that that's not a hallmark of a good movie, right? Just because it's got more characters.
It was poorly written. Costuming looked cheaper. The special effects budget, I if I remember right, went down.
I think it was less.
But yeah, and that just, it wasn't good. And I think for a while, what did you have in between, like some of the Tomb Raider movies?
Which those are garbage too.
Yeah, but they're not.
They did better.
Bad.
I mean, they suited better, but they still didn't.
Yeah. I think the next time we get into some bad movies was in the age of Uwe Boll.
Uwe, what was it? Yeah.
In like Postal and In the Name of the King. I think that's the name of that one. House of the Dead, I think, is a Uwe Boll. It's just none of those are good. Alone in the Dark, I think, is also an Uwe Boll. Those are just bad.
Yeah.
And they are quite literally just they were filmed so he can make money. I think he did Blood Rain, and that was probably his most well-known one. I don't remember if that was the better of the bunch, but
it was still bad. But I think it was a better adaptation. But I think it was still a bad movie. I think it was what the consensus there was.
Yeah. For as much hate as it gets, the original Doom movie was meh, I think.
It was one of those. It was a okay kind of Starship Trooper-esque, like the space marine movie. I consider it like a C or B tier, but yeah, it was
Sure.
It was not a good adaptation of Doom. But then again,
No, because
I think of
they,
all.
I mean, they didn't take the story from the first game, and it seemed like they tried to adapt the third game story. It was just this weird mess, and they pull a fast one on the audience because spoilers. It turns out The Rock, who they go throughout all the marketing, making it seem like this is the lead character, by the end of the movie is not.
Yeah.
And he turns out to be like the villain.
Right. It's like, wait, what?
So,
but, again, of all the video game movies, all the video games to choose, I don't think Doom was the like Super Mario Brothers. Those two are not really prime enough, in my opinion, of a story to bring to a movie. Like, there's not enough, in my opinion, there to do either of them. Doom, you probably have a better chance, but it just doesn't work, and it improved it in Doom. It was just a first person shooter. I mean, Doom was a first person shooter, and you can't get away from the fact that there's not much more to it aside from point, gun, shoot, kill thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, there is a lore there, and they could have built upon it, but that, it just falls in that Hollywood trap of like, nah, we're going to do what we want.
Yeah.
We want to make it our own.
Yeah. Another one that I remember just being like, this is stupid, was Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time with Jake Gyllenhaal.
That had potential to be a good, a good movie because it had the backing of Disney.
Yeah, which I was surprised.
They casted Jake Gyllenhaal for the prince.
That was the weirdest. Like, I'm like, why him? Like,
I mean, that is quite literally the epitome of the whole whitewashing thing.
Well, that's
that Hollywood is known for.
Aside from the whitewashing, like that aside, which is out of the gate is already stupid, but he's not that he's a bad actor, but can he even get an accent close to the area that it's supposed to be taking in? And it was obvious he couldn't. Of
course not,
because he didn't.
Because you're selling it, or they see it as you're selling it to an American audience, and why would they want to hear anything but an American accent?
Yeah, I mean, he just looked like a pirate. Like he reminded me of a pirate. That's it.
His outfit and the way he looked, it just looked like he belonged in the Caribbean.
Pirates, right, Pirates of the Caribbean. We have to talk about Assassin's Creed. That movie.
The Assassin's Creed movie was also kind of a joke.
Look, I am a huge Assassin's Creed fan, and I was so stoked for this movie because I'm like, hey, it's going to be okay, because it was, it's not just some jerk taking the game and adaptation. Like, Ubisoft created a studio to produce the movie, and they were part of it. And I'm sitting there thinking, they know what's going on. Now they still screwed it up.
Yeah, because then they start showing the animus quote unquote the animus in some of the trailers, and it's like they're on a crane attached by their neck, and they're jumping around this room. It's like,
right?
What?
And what kills me, it hurts me so much, because in the most recent game, they kind of do that in the game with their and I'm like, no, it wasn't good in the movie. Do not bring it here. Do not make this movie canon.
Yeah, which I think they make reference to it in, it might be Odyssey, in one of
probably
Layla's modern day sections, like in one of the databases. I think they make mention of the something project, and it talks about some of that movie stuff.
Yep.
And I think they kind of disassociate themselves from it really quick.
Yep. But then again, they in the Valhalla, they don't do it exactly, but they add that whole like the animus to like lift it up and the moving like they're jacked in and
from I guess spoilers for Valhalla, but you get to a ruins where the first civilization was, and they basically have their own version of an animus.
Yeah, and it's not close enough. I guess is the animus, the way that the animus worked in the old games to what they're showing there is very different.
Yeah.
Like the new one, you have to be jacked in, like basically jacked in, like in the Matrix.
Well, yeah, but again, that's the first civilization. That's not the animus in the present day.
No, yeah.
The present day one, still, you just lay on your back and woohoo.
Right. It was there was no being jacked in. You just laid down and then you thought basically. Became they pulled the memories there. Let's see what else. Didn't they make a Need for Speed movie?
They did, with Aaron Paul, if I remember right.
Right.
And why? It is quite literally just Fast and Furious with a different name.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't good.
No, it was, I do remember. I remember it being made, and I remember looking, going, "That's just Fast and the Furious," and I hated that. I hate those movies, so I'm certainly not gonna like this thing.
So yeah, I mean, it's like the track record is not great for movies. They've been getting better. You've, like we mentioned last week, Detective Pikachu, Sonic. Sonic 2 right now is breaking like all sorts of records here and there.
Yes.
It is on its way to be the highest grossing video game movie of all time.
As it should, because they're good. They are good.
Yeah, and reviews coming out of it are saying that it's very good. And these are reviews from non-fans and fans alike. So, awesome. I can't wait to see it.
Was there a Warcraft movie?
There was one of the biggest releases internationally because it was well received in China.
Oh.
It was all 3D.
See, it's one of those things that is in the back of my mind. I'm like, I think I remember that, but I don't.
I never watched it.
I think I watched
but it was apparently successful. So. Speaking of 3D movies, how about the worst of the bunch that kind of really, I don't know, killed it for like 3D cinema for games is the Spirits Within, Final Fantasy.
Oh, right. Ew.
They had that whole big marketing push that this is going to be some big epic and it's going to be really well done and you're going to can't believe your eyes, and it just fell flat.
Right. Oh man, I forgot all about that thing. That's how badly it fell. Oh, wow. I forgot all about that thing.
But what about TV? Live action or cartoon? I think this is where games do get a good shake.
Yeah.
There are far less bad adaptations on TV than there are in the movies.
And I think that might be because, you can take it's a shorter chunk, right?
Yeah.
So things can move along quicker. You don't have, the expectation isn't there. The expectation is not a building of story. As you would in a movie. So I guess I think what happens honestly is that, these directors and creative people see that medium as less. Like, there's not that there's not a story to tell there, or that they have to input more to tell a good story. So that's why it works better in TV, not because the story is better for TV, but because the person who is trying to adapt it doesn't see it as more than, a 30, 40-minute episode.
Oh, yeah.
But I actually can't think a whole lot of...
Well, the only ones that I can
ones.
think of, we kind of mentioned last week, was like Donkey Kong Country was kind of cringy.
I like
the Double Dragon cartoon, I do remember not being great.
Mm-hmm.
That was, if I remember right, based off the movie, not necessarily the games. And the movie was bad.
Oh,
another bad movie.
There was a movie. I forgot about that.
Yes.
There was a movie.
Mortal Kombat, Defenders of the Realm, as much as I enjoyed actually seeing the cartoon, like it's Mortal Kombat, but a cartoon, that was bad.
I didn't mind it. I liked it.
The Legend of Zelda, if I remember right, was this is the one that aired alongside the original Super Mario Super Show.
Oh, right.
I don't remember that one being good. And maybe that's where they adapt, because the "Excuse Me, Princess" came from the CDI games, but I think it made its way over into the cartoon, or vice versa. Something like that. I do not remember, but I remember that is the art style they went for. Yeah, like other than that, there really isn't much in the way of a TV that has been bad for games. Halo, I think, is not doing great.
Well, here's the thing. This is one of those, I don't think it's good. You don't think it's good. Anecdotally, I'm hearing a lot of people saying the same thing. But when you look at numbers, it's showing that it's doing great. Like,
well, yeah, because people are interested in seeing where it's going. Plus, they've already, greenlit a second season. So regardless of what it does this season, they're making a second season.
Yeah, which, okay. I mean, I'm actually with you. I think I may be out at this point.
Yeah, I'm going to give it one last shot this week.
Look, I've given it more than its fair share of shots from what I normally do. It's an hour episode, right?
Yep, they're hours.
They're hour episodes. So typically, an hour episode, I'm giving you 15 to 20 minutes. If you haven't gotten me by then, I'm not watching. I have fully watched 3 episodes. And it has 1, not enticed me, and 2, pissed me off.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it just but yeah, I can't think of any other TV series that really was bad. I mean, like I could say something like the Sonic Underground was not as good as the other Sonic ones, but on its own was probably okay.
Yeah, and that's
also had a kind of catchy theme song.
I actually I never disliked any of the Sonic ones. It's just that there were ones of the Sonic. It was not the better of the Sonic TV shows, right?
Yeah, like Sonic Boom.
Sonic Boom was great.
A really well written Sonic show.
Yeah,
character design can be hit or miss, but
it was
the
funny.
actual writing was good.
Yeah, they had, so it was funny in my mind because there were a lot of dad jokes. Like just
and I think
stupid
that's
jokes.
Where a lot of these newer video game adaptations for like TV shows are gonna end up leaning, because especially if they're an older property, you're gonna get the kids to watch because it's a cartoon.
Right.
It's bright colors, it's funny, it's silly.
And it's someone that they might remember or know that they've seen somewhere or whatever.
Right. But to make it entertaining to those who grew up with the character, who are now fathers and mothers and aunts and uncles and just their older generation, they will have these kind of like slip it in their kind of dad joke, or maybe a slightly a little more risque joke that only an adult would get.
Right.
But
well, and
like Shrek.
Right. Well, I think also some of it is just talking about this is you look at the games that we grew up with. They were the games that were marketed, that were made and marketed. They were marketed to kids at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, they were marketed to kids. So it had most of the games that we grew up with had a very childlike world. So
of course,
putting it into a movie or a TV show did require some, I guess, input to make it more substantial.
Okay.
But now that we're in this current realm of video games are stories now. Like you can get a video game out there that is essentially a book or a movie just in an interactive form. It should be easier to transpose to normal, quote unquote, normal media. But again, we're getting this, they're still looked down upon. Video game stories are still looked down upon as if they are okay in their media, but it's just not highbrow enough for movies or for cinema.
I think you do run into that occasionally where it's like, it's looked down upon. It's like, well, this isn't, this isn't high art.
Right. Yeah, this is art, but it's not good enough for us.
Right.
And we can make it better, but we've got to add in a whole nother story, or we have to add in a love interest. Those are the kind of things I hate the most. When you force in a love interest, it's like, that makes no sense. Oh,
yeah, that's it.
Like with the freaking the Halo series, I completely forgot about it. It irritated me so much, I blocked it out of my mind. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember Keys and what's her face being having Miranda Keys as their daughter. Oh,
yes. So no, I was when I was doing the research on how Cortana came to be. Yes. So Miranda Keys' mother is Dr. Halsey.
Okay, see, I didn't know that. I blew my mind. I'm like, wait, what? What?
Yeah. So,
but she never knows that, does she?
What is? I'm drawing a blank on his name now. Captain Keys. Whatever.
Captain Keys. He has a first
Halsey,
name.
Yeah, he's got a first.
I know. No one ever knows his first name.
They were a thing, and then they split, and Miranda was the product of the two.
well, obviously, that's you. But see, does she know that in any of the, I don't remember ever being a portrayed in the game.
I don't think they ever really mention it in the game.
Okay.
Because I don't recall it. Like I said, I came across that while researching how Cortana came to be.
Okay. Yeah, see, when I heard that, I was like, huh? Wait. What?
Yeah, I was like, huh?
And I mean, I guess it's not like it's outside of the realm of possibility, but like the way that Halsey is in the games, she is the epitome of like science in my work is more important than anyone else.
Yeah.
Like, and throughout the whole, like even in the books that I read, it's never explained or talked about her having a life outside of the Spartan Project. Like it was everything to her for a lot of years. So like, where was this time?
Well, maybe that's why they split.
But I don't think the time fact. I don't think.
Well, think of how old Miranda would be. Does that not make sense?
25, 26?
Let's say 28 or something.
Right. I guess timeline wise, it would make sense because John was what they got him when he was 4 or 5 or something.
Right. So the two of them probably aren't too far apart in age.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that also all depends on how long before the Spartan Project, because John wasn't the first Spartan. He wasn't even the first set of Spartans.
No, he was just part of the first group that actually were quote unquote successful.
Right. And lived and were successful. Like they were, oh man, I don't remember. There were a fair amount of groups before him. And you got to think that takes years, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So like, even before that, it just feels like if Miranda is the kid, she would be older. And so would Halsey and Keys.
But, I mean, timeline-wise, it's just, I mean, because that was the same way as like, that doesn't seem right. But I kind of put that in the back of my mind when I heard them start talking about how Cortana, I was like, wait a minute. What? So I had to go and look it up. And then I came across that for Keys. I was like, oh.
Well, I think the one medium that has done the best with video games is books, because they've always been able. I've not yet read a video game, a book that was previously a video game where it didn't add to the story, where it didn't help. Like I've yet to see one where it actually hurts. Like the Mass Effect ones are great, the StarCraft ones are great, the Assassin's Creed ones I've ever great. I haven't read. Now, granted, I don't read a whole lot of books, but then again, the ones that I have read are video game based ones, and they're all. I've not found one that is a bad adaptation of it.
Right. I've heard that there are maybe some bad seeds in the series.
Right.
But, the series as a whole, for whatever property that it's doing, tends to be pretty darn good. And they usually get the writers of the game, or at least somebody who has helped writing those games, to be as like a consultant or the writer themselves. And I think the writer for Halo Reach was the one who ended up writing the video game adaptation.
Oh, see, yeah. And that's the thing, is I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that with books, when you're writing a book, I think there is more research done.
Yeah.
When people write books or book series about something, because they're writing and they're trying to get into the characters and into their minds more than just how do I portray this, right? Because they're writing it for the world. They're writing it for the character so that you can not only imagine the character, but feel the character. Whereas with TV and movie, you got your actors and actresses that need to feel the character and what would the character do or say in the situation. But the writer doesn't necessarily seem to do that, because it's written differently, right? Because it's written for a stage kind of thing. So you're not talking about details, which in a book, like I said, I just think they do more research for a book because they're writing more details. Trying to be more inclusive to getting into that world, and not just throwing away things because it doesn't seem to fit into their genre.
Right. Not just tossing everything out that you don't want to be in there.
Right.
Just because it doesn't fit with your head narrative.
Right.
Because you're the writer.
Well, that could be because movies have directors and they already are that person that I'm the director, I'll tell you what to do. Whereas a writer, it's one, maybe two people writing a book. Usually it's one person that's penning the story and the other one is doing any kind of illustrations if there's some, or they're doing just checking over. So I guess it's a lot cleaner. There's less ego.
Sure. Well, yeah.
That
depends. Everything's different. You could have multiple writers. You could have a ghost writer. You could have just one person doing everything.
Right.
So
I'm basically boiling it down to directors have egos and they should stop.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today. If you haven't yet, go and click on that subscribe button. Did you enjoy the conversation this week? Let us know. Send us your questions, your topics, or any corrections to anything that we spouted off here today to .exe at savingcontent.com, or you can leave us a comment over on our Twitter or Facebook pages. Just search for @savingcontent. It's not too hard to find. If you're looking for additional in-depth gaming discussions, check out the Quick Save podcast. Those guys over there have some great discussions. Been a while since they've been out there, but that doesn't mean you can't go back and listen to some of the older stuff because it's good.
Good stuff.
Yeah. Remember to visit savingcontent.com for the latest news and reviews. There's not much this week. It is kind of a lull. I did mention last week my Star Wars, Lego Star Wars one went up, so you can go read that. I did forget to mention Weird West. Scott reviewed that one, so go give that a gander and see his thoughts. Once you're done with all the reading, why don't you go to Saving Content on YouTube? Our podcasts get posted up there, and we have some video previews, reviews, trailers, and some original content as well. Finally, if you so kindly would, leave us a rating and review for the podcast. You can do it right within your app, whether it's Spotify or Apple or Google, whatever. Just leave a little positive 5-star review. Maybe we'll read it out if you leave a nice comment or a bad comment or a comment at all.
Funny comment.
We'll say something. And be sure to tell your friends about dotEXE. It'll help us grow, and we'd really appreciate it. I want to thank everybody for listening today, and remember, kindness costs us nothing, but it means everything. Good night.
Good night.